The Abbasid Caliphate emerged from the fires of revolution, a movement that swept across the Islamic world with promises of change and renewal. In the mid-8th century, they toppled the Umayyad dynasty, ending decades of Umayyad rule and ushering in a new era for the empire. The Abbasids, who traced their lineage to the Prophet Muhammad's uncle Al-Abbas, claimed legitimacy through family ties and a vision of a more inclusive, just society. They shifted the empire's heart from Damascus to the newly founded city of Baghdad, strategically located at the crossroads of global trade routes and cultures. The founding of Baghdad in 762 was more than just a change of capital. It marked the birth of a cosmopolitan metropolis, renowned for its openness to Persian, Arab, and other influences. The Abbasids established a sophisticated and highly organized government, developing a formal bureaucracy that managed vast and diverse territories, stretching from North Africa to Central Asia. Their reign is celebrated as a golden age, a period marked by remarkable advances in science, mathematics, literature, and governance, attracting scholars from across the known world. Even as their direct political power diminished over time, the Caliph in Baghdad remained a powerful symbol of unity and religious authority for the Sunni Muslim world. The Abbasids not only preserved ancient knowledge from Greece, Persia, and India, but also expanded upon it, laying the foundations for future generations and influencing both the Islamic world and medieval Europe. Their enduring legacy is a blend of political ambition, religious authority, and cultural brilliance, reflected in art, architecture, and intellectual achievements. The story of the Abbasids is one of profound transformation, shaping not only the course of Islamic civilization, but also leaving an indelible mark on world history that endures to this day. At the very top of the Abbasid state stood the Caliph, who was not only the supreme political ruler, but also the spiritual and religious leader of the Islamic world. The Caliph's authority was immense, and his word shaped the destiny of millions across the empire. Early caliphs like Al-Mansur and Harun al-Rashid were deeply involved in the affairs of state, acting as hands-on administrators. They led armies into battle, made crucial decisions, and personally oversaw the creation of new policies that would guide the empire. Their legitimacy as rulers was rooted in their noble lineage, which they traced back to the family of the Prophet Muhammad, giving them a sacred aura in the eyes of their subjects. The Caliph depended heavily on a powerful vizier, a chief minister who managed the day-to-day operations of the government and who often became the real force behind the throne, wielding significant influence over state affairs. The Barmakids, a renowned family of viziers, once ran the empire's administration with remarkable efficiency, amassing great power and wealth before their dramatic fall from grace. The Abbasid bureaucracy was highly organized into diwans, specialized departments for the army, finance, and correspondence, modeled on sophisticated Persian systems that brought order to the vast empire. The court itself was a vibrant hub of politics and culture, filled with a dazzling array of officials, scholars, poets, musicians, and entertainers, all competing for the caliph's favor. Strict protocols and elaborate ceremonies reinforced the caliph's majesty, emphasizing his unique status and the grandeur of the court. The court also became a celebrated center for the arts and sciences, with institutions like the House of Wisdom attracting thinkers from across the world to Baghdad. Beneath the vizier, professional scribes, the kutab, kept the machinery of state running smoothly, recording decrees and managing correspondence. This skilled administrative class enabled efficient governance across distant provinces, but also bred fierce competition, intrigue, and political maneuvering within the palace walls. The Abbasid central government was a complex, dynamic system, constantly evolving to meet new challenges and requiring constant attention, wisdom, and vigilance from those at the very top. In the heart of the empire, power, culture, and bureaucracy were inseparably intertwined, shaping the golden age of the Abbasids. The Abbasid Empire stretched from the Atlantic coast of North Africa all the way to the distant frontiers of Central Asia, encompassing a vast and diverse territory that was home to millions of people. This immense expanse presented enormous challenges of governance, as the caliphs sought to maintain order and unity across deserts, mountains, and fertile river valleys. To manage such a sprawling realm Provinces were ruled by governors appointed by the Caliph in Baghdad. However, their authority was carefully balanced by separate financial officials, who reported directly to the central government. This division of power was designed to prevent any single governor from amassing too much wealth or building a private army that could threaten the Caliph's rule. Local administration often relied on established families, respected judges known as qadis, and market inspectors called muhtasibs, who ensured fairness and order in daily life. In rural areas, village headmen and influential landowners played crucial roles in collecting taxes, settling disputes, and maintaining peace among the population. The Abbasids skillfully balanced central control with a degree of local autonomy, allowing communities to manage their own affairs as long as taxes were paid and loyalty to the Caliph was upheld. Yet communication across the vast empire was slow and difficult, with news and orders sometimes taking weeks or even months to travel between distant provinces and the capital. Over time, this distance allowed ambitious governors and local leaders in far-off regions like North Africa and Central Asia to assert more independence, eventually giving rise to powerful local dynasties. These rulers often continued to acknowledge the Caliph's religious authority in Baghdad, but in practice they governed their territories with considerable autonomy, making their own decisions on local matters. The Abbasid system was pragmatic and flexible, adapting to local realities, but the challenge of maintaining unity across such a diverse empire was a constant struggle for the caliphs. As central control weakened, the empire began to fragment, with regions drifting further from Baghdad's influence and developing their own identities. Yet, even as real power shifted to the provinces, the caliph's symbolic authority endured, serving as a unifying figure for the Islamic world and a reminder of the empire's once great unity. The Abbasids faced constant rebellion and unrest. Allied revolts erupted after the Abbasids sidelined their former allies, challenging their legitimacy. Social and religious movements like the Quraymites waged guerrilla wars that drained resources. The Zanj rebellion, led by enslaved laborers in southern Iraq, nearly toppled the state. These uprisings exposed deep social divisions and the limits of Abbasid control. The caliphs responded with force and diplomacy, but unrest persisted. Rebellions highlighted the fragile balance between central authority and local grievances. The empire's diversity was both its strength and its greatest challenge. Each crisis tested the resilience and adaptability of Abbasid rule. Religion was central to Abbasid legitimacy. The caliphs claimed descent from the Prophet's family and styled themselves as commanders of the faithful. They patronized Islamic scholarship, supporting the ulama and building mosques and schools. The caliphs led public prayers and organized the Hajj, reinforcing their religious role. This partnership with the ulama gave the state legitimacy, while scholars gained influence and resources. Yet the ulama increasingly became the ultimate interpreters of Islamic law, creating a balance of power. The caliph's authority depended on their alignment with religious scholars. Tensions sometimes arose, but the relationship was mutually reinforcing. The Abbasids' religious leadership was as much about politics as piety. Caliph al-Ma'mun's Mihna, or Inquisition, was a bold attempt to control religious doctrine. He enforced the Mu'tazili view that the Quran was created, demanding scholars' public assent. Those who refused, like Ahmad ibn Hanbal, faced imprisonment and flogging. The Mihna was meant to unify belief and assert the caliph's authority over the ulama. Instead, it sparked fierce resistance and made folk heroes of its opponents. Public support for traditionalist scholars revealed the limits of state power in religious matters. The Mihna ended after 15 years, marking a victory for the ulama. From then on, religious doctrine was shaped by scholarly consensus, not caliphal decree. The episode redefined the relationship between state and religious authority. The Caliphate's attempt to dictate faith ultimately strengthened the independence of the ulama. Abbasid architecture and ceremony projected imperial power. Baghdad, designed as a perfect circle, symbolized the caliph's central role. Later, Samarra's palaces and the great mosque's spiral minaret showcased Abbasid grandeur. Palaces were vast complexes, blending governance with luxury and awe-inspiring design. Court rituals were meticulously choreographed to impress visitors and reinforce hierarchy. Audiences with the Caliph were theatrical, emphasizing his majesty and distance from ordinary people. The court's opulence was a political tool, intimidating rivals and dazzling subjects. Architecture and ceremony became vital as military power waned. The spectacle of the Abbasid court was central to its enduring mystique. The Abbasid era was a golden age of intellectual achievement. The House of Wisdom in Baghdad led a vast translation movement, preserving and expanding ancient knowledge. Greek, Persian, and Indian works were translated, fueling advances in science, philosophy, and literature. Scholars like Al-Tabari chronicled history, while geographers mapped the known world. Arabic became a language of science and culture, but Persian literature and customs also flourished. Works like Kalila wa Dimna and the Shahnameh reflected this cultural fusion. Greek philosophy inspired thinkers like Al-Kindi and Ibn Sina, who blended rationalism with Islamic thought. Debates between philosophers and traditionalists pushed intellectual boundaries. The Abbasid court's patronage created a cosmopolitan civilization. This legacy shaped both the Islamic world and medieval Europe. For the Abbasids, culture was a tool of statecraft and legitimacy. Patronage of religion, scholarship, and the arts projected the caliphs as pious and enlightened rulers. Building mosques, supporting the ulama, and sponsoring the Hajj reinforced their religious authority. The House of Wisdom and court poets symbolized the caliph's wisdom and the empire's prestige. High culture radiated from Baghdad, bolstering the Abbasids' claim to leadership. Even as political power faded, cultural and religious legitimacy endured. Successor states sought the caliph's recognition, testifying to the Abbasids' lasting influence. The Abbasid legacy is one of power woven through culture, faith, and intellect.